Welcome to the Tale of Three Handles. So I want to show you a couple of different ways to make handles. There honestly isn't a right or wrong, but I'm going to start off with the most traditional, which is called pulling a handle. And I start off with just clay and kind of in like an ice cream cone shape and a bucket of water. And I'm going to pull, like this is what it is. It's literally just pulling the clay down. Now your clay needs to stay nice and slick. If it dries out at all, your hands will stick and it will not turn out pretty. And pulled handles are one of those things where it's going to take several tries before you get this right. You're going to end up with more chunks over on the side, like in the sink, than don't do it in your sink, do it in a bucket. You're going to end up with more chunks in your bucket than you will handles. Also, I think that it's actually really good. So I did this slightly out of order. Normally what I like to do is I like to make my handle first. So you can see I'm flattening this out right now. So I flattened my finger, my index finger behind me, and my thumb pushing down so I could kind of flatten this out because I don't like round handles. I think they're uncomfortable. I'm going to kind of dry this in a curve. Because it's very flexible now, but it won't be flexible later. And then I don't need this extra clay. And we'll set that off to the side. Now, normally what I would like to do is I like to have my handles made before I trim my pots, because then by the time I am done trimming my pots, my handles are dry enough. But instead, I'll just start off with that as my first handle, and I'll make you a couple of other versions. So I got to dry off my surface because otherwise nothing. This isn't the best surface. It's like a resined wood. I would enjoy it if it absorbed a little bit more water, but otherwise, like, it cleans up nice, so I appreciate that. So I'm just going to take a little chunk of clay, and I'm going to roll out a coil. And again, there's not a right or a wrong way. Handles are, I think, a very personal, experience. You guys should check out the mugs that you have in your cabinets and see if there's things that you like. And start analyzing, why is it that you like it? Is it because it just fits your fingers just right, or it stays out of the way? It has a nice curve to it. You just think it looks cool. I mean, if you want to sculpt a cat on the side of your mug, holding on for dear life, by all means, do that. If you want the side of your mug to be I don't know, iron fists or something like that, iron knuckles, what is that? Can't even remember. I'm going to think of things. Then do that. It doesn't matter. You can literally, you want it to be a whole bunch of barbed wire, you can do that. Will it be comfortable? No. You can see I kind of did a little bit of a taper because I do like that taper thing. Just like with the pulled handle, I like to get a little bit of a taper. So just by flattening that out a little bit, you can see I have it goes nice from the top to the bottom in terms of its scale. I'm going to just let it dry in a little bit of a curve. And let's try one where we actually roll out a coil using, let's try to make a textured one. See how we like that. So again, let's roll out a coil. Make sure you have plenty of room and your table is clean when you're doing this, and also don't take too long to do that. If you take too long and your coil starts to crack, just move on to another piece of clay. That means your clay got too dry. I think the key thing with handles, so don't make your handles long before you're going to use them, the day before. You want to make it the day of, literally just before you're about to trim your pots. That's going to give you, honestly, the best timing. You try to keep them dried out overnight, that is not going to go, or properly moist overnight, that's not going to go well. Maybe if you have a damp box, it'll go okay, but most of the time, not so much. You also want your cups and your handles to be kind of close, your handles are going to be wetter than your cups. Okay, I only need a section of this. And I'm going to get out my roller. We'll figure out where I want to start, and I'm going to try to keep this as even as possible. It occurred to me like midway through this that I could easily have put my wooden slats down, and then I'd have a really nice even consistency, but I didn't, so it's not exactly what I was hoping for in terms of thickness. Plus, I should have put it down onto some paper because, oh my gosh, totally got stuck to the table. Gosh darn it. Which means that now I have to go back and like smooth that over without mucking up my texture. Just the essence of water to smooth that over. Could have saved myself so much time if I just had my wooden slats out. But that's not too bad. I do try to make sure that my edges are rounded because if you have sharp edges, they do not feel good. Now, sometimes you're just going to be like, no, I care more about the aesthetic than I do the functionality of it, which there is nothing wrong with that. Just own it and say that that's what matters, and then it's fine. So I'm going to try, the other thing that I've been super into is like small handles. So I'm going to do a little one that's going to be tapered, and I'm going to put like a little like twist to it. So I'm just using the edge of my wooden rib and gliding that along at an angle as I pull towards me, and that'll make, and it's like slightly angled in. Try it out. It'll work out great. And then I'm going to flatten it again because I don't like round handles. I find them to be uncomfortable. So I'll rotate that again. And I'm going really slow to kind of bend that in because I don't want to create a whole bunch of cracking on it. Oh, I do like the small handle. Okay, which handle do I want to put on what? Or should I just try one more thing? Let's try one more thing. So one of the other things that people like sometimes do is actually throw out their handles. So just kind of slapping it around and it'll start to elongate it, and it actually can create some really nice little like patterns, and people do make some pretty cool handles this way. I don't know if I'm one of those people, but you know, I'm trying to get a little bit of an angle to it so it stretches it out. Then I can give it a little twist. And let's see how that curve looks. That's not too bad. I don't know if it's going to make the cut on handles, but that's a handle. It's a wee handle. I don't like those little, that got a little too dry there, so it cracked. I don't think that's going to be the most comfortable handle. But again, it's up to you about handles. It's a very individual thing. So I'm just going to pick up a handle. Let's try this one. And what I do is I kind of hold it, and I hold it in the background to see what it looks like. So I can see kind of like a profile. Be like, okay, is that like, how big do I want to make this? So that it looks like appropriately sized. Also with my handles, I like my handles to be underneath the rim of the mug so that I can put my mugs upside down in the cabinet. So notice I cut that at an angle. I also am a big fan of putting my handles up and having them slope up. Sometimes people will come directly out of the side, and sometimes people actually go down. But I like the Perky half heart handle. That's just the one that I like. And there is nothing wrong if you do not like that handle. I think handles are a super individual thing. You make what you like, or make something that you know is going to work for the person that you are making it for. One of those two things. Okay, so to attach, I'm using my scoring tool and some water. So I'm going to attach like right around there-ish. Let's make sure I get it in the right spot. Okay, so I've made my mark. Now, just dipping my scoring tool into water, I'm going to do water scratch, water scratch, water scratch until I get a nice like little pile of slip going on there. So I don't like to add slip to things. I find it to be way more, one, I have to remember to have slip and the right color slip. And I use too many different clay bodies to remember what slip I used. I just need to make it so that there's a nice like pile of goop on the piece that I'm going to join. I don't always score the handle part because it's pretty wet. Generally my mug's a little bit drier. And then I'm going to attach that part. And notice how I put this down onto, normally I just put this in my lap. Laps are like perfect for this. But I can't put it in my lap and film at the same time. So, you know, whatever. But having it on a soft surface, don't do this on a table. Soft surface, way better. And then I'm going to check that curve. So that I get a general idea about where I want that handle to kind of end. So I make handles way bigger than what I need so that way I can cut it down. And then generally I'm sort of happy. Figure out what angle I want to put this on. That angle. Okay, now I try really hard not to pick up and move my handle around too much because if I do, I'm going to cause it to crack, especially on that top part of my little half heart. It'll bend. So I'm just going to put this off to the side a little bit so that I can go and score that bottom piece. Now, if your pot that you're attaching this to, your cup that you're attaching this to is super dry, then you might end up having cracking problems. So make sure that you don't let your pots get too dry before you get that handle on. If your handles are super wet and your cup is super dry, it's not going to go well. Okay, now I'm just checking to make sure that I actually got this like lined up because I always end up getting them on there like a little bit crooked. I've gotten a little bit better noticing that I do it all the time, but I'm looking at that profile. I really want it to be just like a little cheery, again, half heart. And I'm taking a damp brush and then taking off any excess slip that's on there. I'm not super happy about this handle because the bottom of it is thicker than the top, and I generally like it the other direction, so it just makes it feel a little bit chunky to me. But it's not horrible. But it's definitely, I don't really like it that much, but you know. Might just take it off later and it'll make it spectacular with something else. Smooth everything out. I try really hard not to overwork the handles too much, especially if you're wiggling it around or getting it really wet and putting little like goobers on it. That's no good. But that's not horrible. I don't know. I'm like medium about this one. And keep in mind, if it feels perfect now, it's going to shrink and it will not be perfect later. If it feels a little bit big now, then everything's awesome. So there's one with texture. Let's see, which one do I want to do now? I think I'll do the mini one because I love the mini one. And I'll put this one on the mini one. Okay, do I want to put it high, low, medium? What angle am I looking for? Let's try this side. Maybe my light's better. Ooh, that's better light. I kind of like it there. Lower? Let's make sure I get the right angle there, and we'll try it again. We'll see how we're doing. I think I like that. Do I like it that high? No, I like it a little lower. Too low? Right there. No, I like there. You put it in the right place if you like it. If you don't like it, or when you go to use it, you find it unpleasant, and then you find yourself not wanting to use it because you think it's unpleasant, then it's not, you didn't do a good job. Like I said, it's a very personal thing. My husband and I have cups in the house, and some of them I just don't like to use, but he loves to use them, and vice versa. So I make sure I get that on there really good. And so I'm holding it. You want to be careful to not like pinch so hard that you cause because you don't want to dent your handle. So I'm trying really hard to not alter the shape while still firmly pressing it into the cup. Okay, and I think I'm gonna put this into like a little kind of bead. Because again, guys, you can do whatever you want. If you want to have a big long handle that goes out like a foot, you can have that. But before you sit down and make handles, I suggest you guys go and look at some of the cups that you like. Go onto like Etsy or whatever. Go look in your cabinets. See which ones you like. Like, how many fingers do you like to put into your cup? How do you use your handles? Do you even use a handle? Or are you that type of person that just puts the handle over their fingers while they're still just holding the cup like kind of regular? So I put this little ball down, and now I want to put this dude, that point, into the ball. And maybe I'll just I have a little floor stamp. Yay, look, I did a thing. And I also gouged it. It'll be fine. Let's check all of my sides. Make sure that, like, so when you're putting that handle, especially the top handle on, if like goop isn't coming out of there, like you're not doing it right. Watch out for sharp angles and crumbs. They feel very unpleasant. Now, if you have a handle and your pot's pretty dry, but your handle is, well, maybe, no. Let's see. If you have little spindly handles, a good idea is to actually coat the handle and the immediate area around the connection point for the handle with wax resist. That's like putting a piece of plastic over it so that it doesn't dry out quite as quick. These ones, I'd actually prefer my handles to dry out a little bit faster, but slow drying handles is the way to go, honestly, guys. All right, so I'm going to use, so now my pulled handle is mostly dry enough. It's still a little bit soft, like it's still leaving a little bit of a fingerprint when I touch it. Preferably you want to wait until it doesn't leave a fingerprint at all, and then that's a good way to go. Okay, again, checking and making sure that that comes straight out. Like if you want to have a stick that just comes straight out of the side of your thing, actually it's kind of like Korean teapots. You should check it out. But again, do whatever you want. Do you, guys. And figure out what you is. And if you happens to be copying exactly what I do, good for you. My handles by any means are not any form of like original or unique. I guess I don't care that much about handles. I mean, I do care, but it turns out that I'm basic and that I just like a really traditional little half heart handle. Make sure that that's actually like level so it doesn't go off to the side. So when I put this in, I'm putting my fingers on the inside of the cup too when I do this so that it's not like collapsing on itself. Oops, then I just got a whole bunch of goop on the side of my pot. I'll wipe that off before I forget. And now I've pulled all of the sandy bit up. Oops. I'll fix that later. All right, let's see what we want to do for the bottom of this. You can see I have like a curve that I like. This time I'm going to cut it with the X-Acto knife. Give it a little bit cleaner cut. I like that one way better than what I did with the hand-built one. Well, I did both. The other two are both hand-built, but the one with the stamp on it, I still don't like it. I'm staring at it from afar and I don't like it. Make sure that I got plenty of water in there. This is a great time to break out that paintbrush that we sent you home with, guys. Just making sure that my transition is really nice and that all these crumbs are cleaned up, that I don't have any cracks. The place that it loves to crack the most is right up at that top little like edge, at least with this particular shape, which might be why other people don't like to do that shape, is because it does have a tendency to want to crack right there. But I think it's worth the risk, so I do it. Now, it's just a plain little handle, but I want to add a little, I love myself a thumb rest, and especially if my handle is like super plain, this is the perfect time to add a little thumb rest. So it's like a little crescent moon that I'm going to put up at the top here. And then I'm going to smooth and kind of smear that into the cup handle. Now, you don't have to smear it in. Like, you can do, again, you guys, you can do whatever you want, but this is the thumb rest that I like. And then you can change your mind and do you. But this is me. All of my favorite mugs have my little thumb rest on it. I just think it's so cute. And I just like how it feels in my hand, more importantly. So I'm not like putting a pile of water on there, it's just a damp brush. There's a little like edge there that I want to clean up. And I need to find my needle tool, which is somewhere. And then I'm just going to use that to fill in that little edge there that hadn't fully joined yet. I can scrape off some extra slip here. Needle tools. It's like a skinny finger. Now, if you're working on this and it's getting worse instead of better, you just need to leave it alone. I feel like this is getting better, but slowly. It's because it's a little bit on the wet side. It would have been a little bit easier if I had let that set up just a bit longer. Find my rib. Now I can just smooth out any last little like bits. Either your yellow rib, the red rib is the softest of that bunch, and that's actually really nice for kind of finishing, smoothing things. Again, it's a little bit on the wet side, which is making my life actually harder. If you find yourself trying to support your mug at all, your handle is too wet. So if you're creating some crazy support system, your handle is too wet. Should be able to support itself. All right. I'm on board with this one. I'm feeling good. Things are done. I can't fuss too much more. I mean, I could. I could fuss forever. Try not to fuss forever, guys. It's a waste of your time. All right. I think that's good. That is 3 handles.